Hi everybody, welcome. The topic of today's video is body fat and putting on a little bit of weight, sort of from the perspective of someone who is an athlete who trains for events and fitness all year round. What happens, how you acknowledge it, how you figure out why it's happened, and what you can do to sort of slap the brakes on and stick it in reverse, right? So the story is, over the last few months I have noticed that my belly has started to stick out a little bit more. Only a little bit at first, but as time has passed, I've noticed I can grab a little bit more fat around my belly area than I would like to. Now, you might think that, oh, this is just because he's eaten too much at Christmas, he's eaten too many mince pies, too many chocolates, drank too much, but that's not exactly the truth, and it's not the reason why I find myself in the position I am now. In this video, I'm going to show you my sort of physique in a moment, and then we're going to do some sort of measurements and tests, and then I'm going to explain to you the actions I'm going to take in the short term and the long term to sort of fix those problems. Before we go any further, I must stipulate that everything in this video is stuff that I'm doing for me, to me, because I know myself the best, better than anybody else. I know myself, right? I know how I respond to certain stimulus with regards to diet and exercise. I have been here before and got out of it relatively efficiently. So I'm just going to be repeating what I did here. So stage one is acknowledging the problem. Admitting to yourself that there is something wrong with what you're doing, what you're eating, how you're training, your nutrition, all of that. And this happened for me about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, in November time. I looked in the mirror and thought, I'm not looking my best, I'm not feeling my best, and I'm not performing my best. And that's a result of a few contributing factors. So while you can find yourself in this exact same position through bad diet and lack of exercise, for me, for someone who trains a lot, for someone who exercises a lot and generally looks after their diet well, this started for me back in June when my training changed. My training changed because I took on a series of ultramarathon events later in the year and I had to start training for them. That meant taking on big, long runs on each of the weekends. Now, when you start doing super long runs and doing ultra marathons, one of the very first things you are told is that calories are king, right? Calories are your primary fuel source to get you around these humongous events. And that is true in the training runs every bit as much as it is the actual event itself. So way back when I started to train for these, I had to eat big. Right? That meant eating calorie surplus for a few days before me doing one of these training runs. And when you do one of these training runs, you take high calorie snacks and stuff with you, so you're consuming calories all the way around. And when you've finished, you are starving. So the very first thing you do is source something that is gratuitously calorie packed. So you're talking pizzas or curries or anything, right? But that's not where it stops. The very next day, in fact the next few days, even as much as a week, you can feel hungrier than you ever have as a result of doing this one big run. So you eat calorie surplus, calorie surplus, calorie surplus, calorie surplus every single day. Every single day that you're in calorie surplus, you are contributing to the problem, which is increased body fat. So my last event of the year was on the 1st of December. It was the last hyrox event, after which point I had nothing else on the diary for months and months. So mentally, I take my foot off the gas. My training isn't as often, as frequent or as intense as it has been when I'm training for an event. Simultaneously, calories are being thrown at me from every direction. We are talking food at work, we are talking food at home, we're talking copious amounts of alcohol. Now, while I had tiptoed around the buffets and stayed away from many meals out around this time of year, I was finding I was consuming more alcohol than I would normally. And this is bad. This is lots and lots of calories that are going nowhere. So again, as we progress through December, inevitably I am in calorie surplus, and again, it's adding to the problem. So that's where I am at now. We've got the change in training, we've got this massive increase in calories consumed through training for the ultramarathons, as well as being dumped into December with nothing to train for, as well as all the food and badness that comes with Christmas time. So that leads me to where I am now, with an increased amount of body fat, probably reduced muscle mass as well, just to make things worse. And that leads me to sort of the point in time where I find myself a little bit skinny fat. Okay, so I've acknowledged the problem, I've understood how it has happened to me, and I now need to start thinking about how I'm going to reverse it and better it, right? I don't just want to get to this stage, I want to be better than this. So I need to now think about what the very first step is, and for me that is to take some measurements. I'm not just going to weigh myself, I'm going to take measurements from a few different sources and a few different ways. So I will weigh myself, I will get a sort of a kilogram reading off the scales, but beyond that I'm going to take some tape measurements of certain parts of my body. I'm also going to use some body fat calipers to figure out just how much pod that I have hanging off me at the moment. This will give me a nice set of results which I can come back to at a later date, a few weeks, maybe a month down the line, and repeat those tests to make sure that the training and the diet stuff that I'm going to be doing is actually having an effect and I'm going in the right direction. Okay, so I've taken my shirt off, I'm going to show you the problem. Just bear in mind that when you look at me and you might assume that I don't have a problem, that everyone's perspective is relative to their own. If you're a bigger guy than me, you may think that I don't have a problem, but I know myself. I know when I put on weight, I know how I feel when I put on weight, and certainly when I look at myself in the mirror, my body has changed. I'm very conscious about that, and I'm very keen to get back to when it was a bit better than it is now. So let me talk you through what I'm seeing. Right, so when you look from the front, it doesn't look terrible, does it? Let me explain the problem. When I turn sideways and I sort of relax and I'm not all tense in, you can see that my belly is starting to push out a little bit. And now health is the most important reason for trying to do something like this. And let me explain why. 3 reasons why. Number one, if I let this go on any further, the skin would start to stretch and you don't get that elasticity back ever. So preventing that from happening is really high for me. Number two, the abdominal muscles will also relax and start to push out, and you blokes my age are prone to getting things like hernias and stuff. And probably the biggest and most important reason for trying to keep this under control is visceral body fat. I don't want the abdomen to fill with visceral fat, which will sort of work its way around all my super important vital organs and do damage to them. Okay, so I'm going to take my measurements now. Step one, weigh myself. Right. So that says I'm 86.5. Now, that is the heaviest I've been in many years. In fact, I don't think I've been 86 kilos since I was training strongman back in my early 30s. These are body fat calipers. Now, I have a little sliding chart here that tells me just how fat I am. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take 3 measurements, one from my belly, one from my hip, and one from my tricep, just to keep it simple, and then I will repeat those a little bit down the line. That's 102. So in order to lose body fat of any part of your body, you need to put your body into a state of calorie deficit for a period of time, quite a long period of time. And this is done by simply eating less calories than your body requires on any given day. But how do you start with this? How do you find that number out in the first place, let alone reduce it down? One of the best ways I've found is simply to go on calculator.net and look up their total daily energy expenditure calculator. It's essentially a calculator that takes into account your age, your weight, your gender, your height, and your activity level on any given day. And it comprises of 4 main chunks. The first chunk is your basic metabolic requirements, the amount of calories required to keep yourself alive, your life support systems. Then it's the NEAT, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This simply means you moving around while not exercising, so just walking about the house or walking down to the shops, that kind of thing. And then there is the thermic effect of food, the sort of the energy required to burn the food as you eat it. And then there's the EAT, the exercise activity thermogenesis. This is the on-purpose exercise, the gyms, the runs, all of that stuff. All 4 of these things make up your TDEE. And this, with all of those other details, spits you out a number. For me, that was 2,600 calories. That sounds quite reasonable, since the recommended daily amount for men is 2,500 calories. That seems quite respectable. Now, in order to sort of reduce that, the common amount that it suggests you reduce it by is 500 calories. So simply reduce that, it leaves me at 2,100 calories, which is still quite generous. I know I can exist on 2,100 calories each and every day just fine. So I will reduce that down to maybe 2,000 calories just to take out any kind of miscalculations or margins of error, and I can still quite easily live on 2,000 calories. But the best way I've found for controlling my calories isn't simply counting the things that I eat as I eat them. I find that a bit laborious and you can easily calculate that wrong. But I find that controlling when I eat is important. And the best way I've found to do this is through intermittent fasting. Now, I know that sounds a bit scary and people start to get a little bit squeamish when you talk about fasting, but all it means is that I have 8 hours in any given day that I can eat, and then 16 hours where I don't eat. Now, part of that 16 hours is your sleep time, so you don't really have that much time left before you eat again. For a lot of people, this simply means skipping breakfast, and as a dad that has to get his kids to school before getting himself to work, skipping breakfast isn't that big of a deal. Sure, I feel hungry sometimes, but I just have a big sort of pint of water or something and it gets me to my meal. By concentrating the calories in such a small amount of time, I consume less and I remain in calorie deficit, which is the main and important thing for me. Now, as I progress through the next sort of 4 weeks, I will relax that. I will get that down, I will broaden that window until I'm not doing it at all and until this body fat has gone. So on the other side of the coin is exercise. Now, as part of a January push to sort of get fitter, I'm trying to exercise every day in some way or another. A lot of days this will mean getting out of the door and doing just sort of a run around the estate. Some days it means going to gym at work at lunchtime. Just yesterday everyone went to KFC for their KFC buckets. I went to the work gym and I did a 5k in sub 20 minutes. Had a quick shower, got back to my desk, and I felt very good about it. It meant that I had burned an additional sort of 300, 400, 500 calories in the gym that could be dumped on top of my 2100 calories that I was consuming. You can see how that then heightens how fast you burn those calories from your body. So while in calorie deficit, I'm very conscious to not over-exercise. It's very easy to do too much on too little and you can feel unwell as a result. So as a way of mitigating this, I am reducing my daily exercise amount, my volume, to half an hour to 40 minutes max. And I'm not going super intense with it either. I'm just about burning those calories so that they can be added to my total daily energy expenditure. So that was the problem. That's how I'm going to tackle it. I've got 8 weeks to turn this around. Now, hopefully that I will see an improvement. I do not expect there to be a massive body transformation going on, but as long as I turn the sort of train around and go a little bit more this way and a little bit less that way, drop a few body fat percentage, and I will be happy. Now, remember, everything in this video is stuff I'm doing to me, and that's it. It's not a recommendation. I'm not telling you how to do this. This is not an instructional video. This is just telling you what I'm doing. I will check in 2 months' time with an updated video and you'll be able to see how I'm getting along. If you've got any questions, please drop them down in the comments and please give the channel a subscribe on your way out. I will see you in my next video soon. Take care. Mart out.